10 random magic cards rated. I'm not going to get the intro right every time, am I? Let's just go with it. Day number 135. 135 days. That's a lot of days. It's the first card, everybody. It's Meeting of the Minds. This is from March of the Machine. I like this, actually. 4 mana for an instant with Convoke. Draw 2 cards. So what you're telling me is this is draw 2 cards for free. I know, Ziggy protested. It's usually draw 2 cards for 2 or 3 mana. But I think draw 2 at instant speed for 2 mana is still really good. Even if you have to tap guys down, I think this is one we need to reevaluate in standard. I just like this card. It's especially good in those like otter decks, that make like a bunch of copies of that red otter with haste. And like when you Storm Splitter, I think it's called, you make a copy of him whenever you cast something on him. But yeah, those decks get a bunch of otters and you can tap down the otters, draw more cards, play more things. I don't know. Just seems okay to me, dude. I really like this card. I'm going to give it a 4.4. And I honestly want to give it like a 5 something, but I'm not going to start today with that stupid of a rating. I refuse. Renrun Hydra is up next from MH2. This is X and a green for a 0/0 Hydra with reach, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can also reinforce this for X and 2 green. So that means that you can pay X and 2 green and discard the card to put X +1/+1 counters on a creature. So kind of neat, especially considering you can do that at instant speed as kind of a combat trick, a pump spell basically. And that's nice. So pump spell that costs a lot, it's like 5 mana for giant growth if you want to use it as a pump spell. But it can also just be a huge guy with reach, like an 8/8 with reach if you have enough mana. So it's a cool dude, but I can't score it too high because it's a little bit simple in like not a great way. So I'm just going to give this a 4.22. 4.22. For Renrun Hydra. I think it's good for cubes. Just throwing that, I think it's actually a great cube card. But next is Dauntless Cathar. We have done this card before, somewhat recently, actually. High Noon is up next. We ain't never done this one. This is meet me out in the saloon at high noon. It's 2 mana, 1 and a white. Sorry, for an enchantment. Each player cannot cast more than 1 spell each turn, but it's better than Rule of Law. This is 5 mana, 4 and a red. For this activated ability, you have to sacrifice High Noon to have it deal 5 damage to any target. So it's just got a Lava Axe built into it. It can blow up creatures. Lava Axe only goes dome. This can kill most creatures in standard, while also just being Rule of Law, which is great. This is one you see on the arena every now and again, and it's commanding enough of a price tag that I think it must see some play in Commander, right? Enough, at least. I can say this is a good card pretty confidently. This is one that I think needs to see even more play in the arena and in standard at large in like tier 1 and 2 decks, because I think it does have the chops to do that. Kind of cost you your turn 2 or some other early turn, because you probably won't be able to do too much with an early turn but play High Noon. But I think there's a lot of decks in standard this punishes like crazy. So again, mostly we're scoring for cash Commander here, but with pretty much every format in mind, I have to give High Noon like a 5.8. And again, maybe some people think that's a little bit high, or that I'm a little bit high, but I'm not. Actually, I'm straight as Mountain Road right now. And I still think that this deserves a pretty high score. I'm going to give it a 12 High Noon. I can't do that. Still, I will stick with a 5.8. I think this card is highly underrated while still being rated to some extent. We'll move on to Scrapskin Drake, 3 mana, 2 and a blue for a 2/3 Zombo Drake with flying that can block only creatures with flying. This is originally from Avacyn Restored, was reprinted in Magic Origins. Nobody cared. This card, it's a Cloud Elemental, right? It's a Cloud Elemental with a relevant creature type. And Cloud Elemental you'll find in World Championship decks. A lot of time has passed since Cloud Elemental. If you don't know what card I'm talking about, it's this card. It's the exact same text as this card. But it used to see play. It's no longer, man. Super drafty, super normal, super vanilla. We'll give it a 2.3 because that's its power toughness. We'll give it a 2-3. Next is Mountain. Basic lands don't count. There sure are a lot of... I wish you could filter. Like you could press random, but not basic lands. Scryfall, can we get on that? I am officially employing Scryfall from now on, can we have a random option that just doesn't include basics? Can we do that? Next is Mana Barbs, the evil Mana Barbs. 4 mana, 3 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever mana is drawn from a land, whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barb deals 1 damage to that player. That's wild. That's a wild Magic card, dude. This will cost you $360 in its cheapest form, the 4th edition and the revised edition versions. I guess you can get an international collector's if you want a black bordered version of this card. You can get the super rectangular, sharp-edged version. Watch it around your eyes. Watch it around your children because that's how sharp the edges are. International collector's edition. That's the cheapest version of the card. That's actually really neat. Unlimited edition, $32. But God, look at that ink. Look at that ink. It looks so good. Anyway, Mana Barbs, I think, is a card that more Commander players need to really look at. Because Red used to have these effects like Mana Barbs and Smoke and Mana Flare and a couple of other things even that just come down and wreak chaos. Not even havoc, but actual definitional chaos on a game of Magic. And Mana Barbs is one of the best examples of an effect like this in early Red. It's just if you're looking at a card that is impressive and will make everyone upset, maybe even yourself included, look no further, man. This is one of the larger effects that a Magic card can actually have on a game of Magic. So, whoo, buddy. You can always load up with Mana Dorks and Mana Rocks and stuff like that to offset Mana Barbs. You could also just play a lower curve in your deck and fewer spells a turn and sort of, again, offset the life you're losing to a Mana Barbs. You could play a life gain deck and offset some of it. Offsetting Mana Barbs is an important thing to try to do because you can't just be tapping all your mana every turn. But this is one of those where you instantly become a target when you throw it down. Everyone hates it. Everyone hates playing against it so much. So I want to give this the honorary 5, but I don't have to. I can give it a score much higher than 5, actually. I think I can get away with, whether you played against Mana Barbs or not, it's obvious that this is an unbelievable line of text in just about any game, especially Commander, where there's 3 other players in the game. I'm going to give Mana Barbs a 7.7. And I'm serious. This is mostly for casual Commander, which is where I, get off giving it a 7.7. That's a very high score. But even in 1v1s, I think if you have access to Mana Barbs, you should try it. It's legal in Modern, by the way. The card is somehow legal in Modern. Just try it out. Just try it out. I'm telling you. Mana Barbs is gross if you've never experienced it. Ancestor's Aid we did earlier this week. What are the chances? So let's move on to Curse of the Restless Dead. This is from Midnight Hunt Commander. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for an aura that enchants a player. It's a curse. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. That's great. That's pretty great, man. This is not legal in Modern. That would be fun, but this is mostly just legal in Commander. Nobody's playing this in Legacy or Vintage, but I will say this is good, man. The cheapest version of this is $2.34, $2.34. And the other version is $3.13. So not exactly expensive, but also not cheap, not super budget to order this card. Obviously can go in the Curses deck and is one of the better curses in that deck, I assume. If you catch your opponent with it early enough in the game, it's obviously better than if it's rips off the top of your library and they've already got 8 lands, right? Then it's not as good. However, I will say, maybe there's a way to engineer a bunch of lands coming into play under their control, right? You copy a bunch of their lands that comes into play under their control somehow. It could work. Mind slaver them and make them do all their fetches. I'm not really sure what you're doing. This also punishes fetches in a pretty funny way, by the way, so that's kind of neat. But altogether, yeah. Imagine if it was Modern legal, it probably still wouldn't see play, but up against fetches, this thing is hilarious. I will actually give this 4.8. I think there's too many ways to control against it. I think that late in the game, your opponent just doesn't need to play lands anymore and whatever. It might not be as good as it looks, but depending on what time you catch them with this, it could be great. I want to give it above a 5, but I actually think that it's not as good as it looks the more you look at it, but it warrants that price tag for a reason. It's probably better than I'm giving it credit for ratings wise, but I just don't feel that like the card is like quite there. It's a little trappy, you know what I mean? But let me know if I'm wrong. I'm asking the audience officially. What do you rate Curse of the Restless Dead? Because maybe I'm just way off on it. I could be way off, but I'm going 4.8, and even part of me feels like that's too high, to be honest with you. But we'll move on to Gath and Raiders here from Future Sight. This is 5 mana, 3 and 2 red for a 3/3 human warrior with Hellbent. It gets +2/+2 if you don't have any cards in hand. That's what Hellbent is. You can also morph to discard a card. So that means you can play it face down as a 2/2 for 3 mana, and then at any time you turn it face up. And it becomes not a 2/2 anymore, but a 3/3 with for just for no mana at that point. You know, if you pay for 3 mana for it on turn 3, and then later you flip it up, no cards in your hand, it becomes a 5/5. That seems fun, right? But altogether, like extremely drafty card. I'm gonna give this a 2.1. Just kind of isn't good. Next is Swamp. Basic lands get a 5. Decent art here. I like the color palette. Next is actually Ambitious Aetherborn. 5 mana for a 4/3 Aetherborn Artificer with Fabricate 1. So when it ETBs, it either becomes a 5/4 because it gets a +1/+1 counter, or it stays a 4/3 and you get a 1/1 servo, artifact creature token. Not good. Not good. Just way too much mana for either one of those modes to be decent. So we'll give this a 2.2 because it puts 2 bodies on the table. Next and finally is Goblin Bombardment. Baby. Have we done this card yet already? I'm not sure that we have or have not at this point, but this is one of my favorite cards in Magic history, so it's a good one to end the day on. 2 mana, 1 and a red for an enchantment, sack a creature. Bombardment deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I feel like maybe we have done this card, but I still don't care. I'll take any chance I get to talk about Bombardment, man. This is currently in my Rakdos Judith Commander deck, which is probably one of the best possible homes for it in all of Commander, right? You're trying to, or at least I'm trying to sack creatures like an Aristocrats deck in my Judith deck. So Goblin Bombardment is just about the actual best, like, free, repeatable sacrifice outlet in the history of Magic in some ways. You know, you're always looking in like black-white Aristocrats or mono-black Aristocrats for, you know, a Woe Strider or an Antuco Husk or something like that. Usually these are 3 mana free repeatable sacrifice outlets. When Bartolomé del Presidio came out about a year ago now, I was really excited because it's a 2 mana free repeatable sack outlet in Orzhov. We just don't get a whole lot of those. One of the only things I don't like about going Orzhov for sacrifice and doing Elisol Core is that you don't get access to red, meaning you don't get access to a Mayhem Devil, which is fantastic, but you also don't get access to Bombardment, which, just coming back full circle here, I think is like the actual best like 2 mana free repeatable sack outlet more or less of all time, because you're stacking up Judith triggers, Mayhem Devil triggers, Blood Artist triggers, and stuff like that. So those are, whenever a creature dies, deal a damage to, you know, in some cases any target, in some cases each player, whatever. So with Goblin Bombardment, not only are you getting those, you know, triggers and dealing extra damage that way, but you're actually dealing damage with the bombardment. So it's not often that your repeatable sack outlet is also contributing to the damage you do, the triggers that you're stacking. Just crazy good Magic card. Crazy. This really is one of my favorites. This is maybe in my top like 25 Magic cards of all time. I love it so much. I've got so many good memories with it, like all the way back from like 1996 or 7 or whenever Tempest came out. I've got like kitchen table memories of this card. And I've got, you know, memories of playing it in paper. All the way up to a couple of months back, the last time I played a game of Commander. So just Goblin Bombardment, I love. And I want to give it the honorary 5, but I don't have to. The card is good enough to give a very high score to. And you guys are going to just hate me forever. I don't know if you're capable of doing that because of what I give a card. You probably shouldn't. If you're capable of hating someone forever because of like an opinion they have when it comes to the score a card should get in your favorite card game, reevaluate. You shouldn't be capable of hating. It's something so strong just for that reason. But anyway, I'm going to give this a, I'm going to give this a 7.9. Yeah. I really am. I'm going to give this a 7.9. Fantastic in any tokens-based deck. Fantastic in any aristocrats-based deck. Just a wonderful piece of cardboard in multiple different sort of archetypes in Commander that will always, always see play forever. I don't know if they can print a card better than Goblin Bombardment unless they just reprinted it 1 mana, right? But Lord forbid they do that. Wonderful card. And again, good last card of the day. So hope you had a good one, guys. I will see you Friday morning or perhaps afternoon. Depends on if I batch any more of these videos today or if I just decide to start the batch again on Friday. I might do that. At which point I'll probably see you at like 5 p.m. on Friday. Who knows? But either way, I love you all. That much is certain. And I'll catch you cats later. Bye.